Southwest Sydney, where Vietnamese Aussies live, pretty much the highest concentration of consumers of cognac per capita.
Specifically
in the Southern Hemisphere.
In the Southern Hemisphere?
In the Southern Hemisphere. So when you look at a bottle and it's imported, if it's $80, take out the margin, half of the cost is tax. Goes to the ATO.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Rice and Mike's podcast. I am your host, Tung. Today you are joined by your regular co-host, Nathan.
Hello.
Nathan, how you going?
Yeah, good, mate.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
And we have a special guest today. His name is Siggy. Siggy.
Hello.
I don't have my notes on me. Last name. I don't remember your last name.
Bacani. But if you're Italian, Bacani.
But it's Siegfrid, but Bacani.
Correct. Yeah. Well, if you said it German, Siegfried.
Yeah.
But Aussies say Siegfried.
Okay.
And then Bacani. So, which was always hard for me when I was living overseas. So I talk like this on the phone with my colleagues and they're expecting a German Italian guy and then in comes in this Asian dude.
Welcome to the show. So Siggy did reach out and he wanted to chat a bit about his business. So it's called 7,000 Islands. Do you want to tell us a bit about what that is?
Yeah, it took a while with that one. So 7,000 Islands is the number of islands that Australia has. Can you guess the exact number?
Seriously?
Oh, actually, it's more than that number.
For Australia? I thought there were just 5 states, man. Or 6 states.
I didn't know we had 7,000 islands. 7,000 islands.
either.
Is it in the 7,400s?
No, it's actually above.
Oh.
Like
Just Australia.
Australia's got 8,222 islands.
What counts as an island?
Well,
Is
Well,
there,
we've
is
got
there,
one big one.
is there a minimum size requirement?
There
'Cause
is
they-
actually. There's a difference between an island and an islet or an islet.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the reason why. So Philippines also has over 7,000 islands, but less.
yes.
But that makes more sense to everyone, right?
Yeah.
It's like this archipelago. We've got 7,641.
Yeah.
I can see you guys getting spun out by that.
Because now that I think about it, it makes sense. Because I've never, like, if you ask, well, now that you've asked, I've just thought about the Hamilton Islands. That's like a whole group of islands, and I've never thought about it as forming part of Australia, even though it is. So that makes sense. There's 7,400 islands
Can't
in
fathom that.
the Philippines. Like, I don't know, do people hop between them all the time?
They try.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can go on a hopping tour, island hopping. You know, the little, we call it bangka, but the long boat that you guys have, and then the 2 outrigger.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I'll need to get your ideas because I do plan on going to the Philippines next year.
I'd love to give you an itinerary because there's over 7,000 islands, but everyone goes to the same place. Like everyone goes to Boracay
I've heard.
or Palawan or Siargao.
All right, we'll be in touch.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're getting off track. All right. Well, Siggy's been running this company for how long now?
Close to 5 years now, actually, for as long as my son's been alive.
5 years.
wow.
Yeah.
So it's
2
like
kids.
a business baby and an actual real baby.
Yeah. And for context, you guys you got your liqueurs, you got your beers.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about your main product. I did purchase your Ube Liqueur, which you didn't pay me, by the way. It's actually quite nice. Like, I did order one. I've never seen anything like it before.
Paid in full?
Yes. Yeah. I didn't ask for a handout. I did pay for it. So it's actually quite nice. And we'll try it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nathan's
I
quite
haven't
keen.
had it and I'm very keen.
Yes. So
Yeah.
tell us a bit about the making process for this, because Ube is not a common term that you would see in alcohol at all, just in general.
No, not at all. And look, yeah, for background, I had a career in drinks, right? So I worked for Bacardi and worked on Jack in London, and then for Moet or Moet Hennessy. And I really wanted to bring into Australia Asian spirits, Asian wines, Asian beers. And the Ube, you know, funny about that is, what do you guys call it? What do you guys?
It's the purple sweet potato, right?
Like taro or something?
It's a different.
Did
It's
I just
different.
offend you?
Yeah.
So I've gotten it wrong completely.
I don't think Vietnamese really consume ube, like the actual ube itself.
I feel like we do. It's like
You do.
boiled
Yeah.
or something, right? Or like
You've got a
steamed.
variation of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can show you a picture afterwards,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I share. So ube is in the world of root vegetables. So you have true roots, you have corms, and then you have bulbs. And so like ube is like in one part, taro is down here, and yam's over there.
Yeah,
and
right.
it's actually more closely related to kumara and yam.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one to try and explain to Aussies.
Yeah.
But with you guys, or like with like the Taiwanese guys, they're like, oh yeah, taro,
Yeah.
bubble
Yeah.
tea.
Somewhere close.
But it's close.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least you know that it's more than a color, right? It's kind of like a texture
Yeah.
as well, and it's an expression.
Yeah, because it's purple, and no one sees a lot of purple in drinks. It's quite thick in consistency in comparison to like regular liquid.
Yeah. Like nothing else immediately comes to mind that would have a similar kind of color or
Colour?
texture.
Yeah.
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 I think the only one for me would be, maybe Ribena
Yeah.
juice
Yeah.
or acai, the Brazilian one. But that's kind of different. Acai and ube don't taste the same.
Oh, completely different. And it's the new trend.
The acai.
Acai bowls.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been popping off. But I haven't seen the liquor yet. Is it like is it creamy in consistency and texture?
It is, yeah.
Oh,
Wait,
so is it
just pour you a bit now into your
Pour it
glass?
it's is it close to like what I'm thinking? It's close to Kahlua in
This one is, yes. This liqueur expression.
It's really nice. Now my hands are
It's a
sticky.
beautiful bottle. I mean, like Tung's already taken the wax off, but I've seen the sealed
I messed
version.
it up, man. I messed it up.
I've got the unopened.
It smells amazing.
Sure,
But we have to pull it out.
Yeah, we'll pull it out. Pull it out.
Yeah.
Pull it out,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's all right.
It smells really good.
Yeah, it's actually like very sweet.
Yeah.
Smelling. It's not where, for context here, it's not going to be like, what would you even say it? Oh, like you whip out some nail polish. It's not that kind of
Yeah, it
abrasive smell.
doesn't
turns
hit you
off.
in the nose like a vodka.
Yeah, no.
Or,
it's
um,
actually quite
Or like
nice.
rakia does.
And
Here you go.
all right, well,
And now-
Siggy's back.
Pour one out.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Here's
That's the proper bottle. For our listeners that are listening audio only, it's a purple bottle and you've got some gold wax that drips down, gives it a nice little... What's the kind of feel that you're going for with the design, with the wax? What's that meant to resemble?
The wax?
Yeah, and the kind of dripping down.
Dripping down. It's the agimat at ugat, which
Yeah.
means amulet and roots. And it's apothecary, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like a potion. So do you remember what the science beaker name is? The official one?
It's some sort of conical flask.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the shape.
I just
But
heard,
it's
I just
the
heard beaker, right?
Oh, Beaker's the
Erlenmeyer conical flask.
Ah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it looks really alchemical.
My friends that play RuneScape, if you guys are RuneScape players, they said it was an attack potion.
An attack potion.
Old school RuneScape.
Yeah, maybe if you have enough. Oh, you've got it. So I'm just looking at the back of the bottle now, and I can see this one's got batch 40, bottle 670 out of 1,000.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
These are like NFTs for bottles.
Yeah,
This is
small
insane.
batch. And then at the back, we've got.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Oh, how does it taste?
That's beautiful.
See, and Nathan's just drinking it by itself for context.
Yeah,
here.
that's you could sip that with ice if you
Yes,
really wanted to.
you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
On a hot day.
Yeah. But you could like put it into an espresso martini or something, or like something similar as well.
Why would you say that?
It's just the creaminess of the actual the drink.
A lot of the Japanese bartenders like to mix this in with coffee.
Yeah.
How would you describe? I'm interested in both of you. How would you describe ube or taro to one of your Aussie mates?
I've always found that really difficult.
I just Google it and be like, you can find out yourself, man. Here you
Yeah.
go. Here's the Wikipedia.
Because I mean, the closest thing that I suppose like an Anglo person would have to ube probably is like a normal sweet potato, right? And
Yes.
like a lot of them just
Kiwis pick it up quite easy.
Yeah.
Because they have kumara.
yeah. But I mean, as far as others go, they just have the sweet potato, and that I don't see that in drinks very often.
Yeah.
Not really, no.
Yeah. I've never had to actually explain ube to one of my friends that way.
Well, that's been my gig for like the last 5 years, is just trying to break down Asian tastes for our Aussie family.
Yep.
The way they understand food is quite different. Like, I remember when I was dating a Viet girl, your food is quite umami. You're Viet, right? Yeah. Or Viet Chinese.
Full Viet.
Full Viet. So very umami or savory, like with pho, but also very aromatic. And sometimes even like, one of the fascinating things I observed, because in my household, we always smell our food when you buy it, before you taste it, all of those things. But you guys don't mix in your spices and herbs as you cook it, like what the Thais do or like what we do. You guys add it after it's been prepared or as you're eating it. And I thought that's really fascinating.
Yeah. I think the only time we ever mix spices in with anything is like a broth.
Yeah.
If we do it like a soup, but otherwise, most of the spicier flavors come from like a dressing, like Nook Mum or
Oh yes, Nook Mum, classic.
mainly Nook Mum.
Just fresh chilies on the side. That's easy.
Yeah, and it's like to
things.
taste.
Yeah.
So your family might do it to taste a bit more sour than other families or another village or another region.
Yes.
Right. And I've always found that really fascinating. And for Aussies, they struggle with umami. They struggle with bitter. They struggle with sour. And that's umami because it's got depth of flavor. So it confuses them.
When you say umami, because I think I only found out about umami being a flavor like maybe 5 years ago.
Oh, right,
and,
really?
And because when you, I feel like when I was like growing up in school, I attended an area that was really anglicized.
Okay.
I didn't like.
Is that around here? Or?
No, so I originally I went to school up near Concord, so I went to school with a lot of Italians and Greeks.
Nice. Yeah.
And
I love their food.
yeah,
And I love their food for its simplicity because it's like basil, tomato, olive oil, like 3 ingredients.
yeah,
And it just works so well.
And that's their landscape, right?
yeah. But I remember learning like the things you taste are like salty, sweet, bitter.
Is this the tongue thing?
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
the different zones of taste your tongue
Yeah,
has.
and but umami never got brought up until I feel like. I mean, the earliest I remember is when MasterChef got really big and people started saying it. And then I understood it to be like a savory kind, like that's the flavor of something that's savory.
Yes.
Yeah.
So savory is a term that describes salty or spicy as well as umami, but it's not a sense. It's not a taste. Yeah. The way that I like to explain umami is that so technically it's your body's picking up glutamate, or like when you try something sweet, like your body says caveman style, energy, yum, let me get some. Or if it's sour, off.
Yeah.
Glutamate, protein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's sort of where umami is. But like with the ube, if you imagine, because it's got depth, but it's also sweet.
Yeah.
This one.
Yes.
And it's subtly sweet, but our Filipino sweet is like in the sweet square, it's underneath.
Right.
So try it.
Yeah.
It's like a moreish sweet. So you want to drink more.
It's not like a sickening, like not a sickening, but like it's not a really sugar sweet. It's like like exactly as you say, it's a moreish sweet.
It's a moreish. It's like a long play in a game.
Yeah.
And so those kind of approaches to food, Aussies find difficult.
Yeah.
Because they're not really exposed to it.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of reminds me of how how an Aussie would experience pandan.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very confusing for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do have a pandan drink.
Coming soon. A couple of weeks.
I wanted to order it in, but it was like pre-order. And I was like, I want to try it now.
Because pandan is like ube in that it's subtly sweet and it's green, which will confuse Aussies even more, but it's also smoky.
Yes.
And herby. Now, I'm a wine guy, like one of your guests, and when we try wine, whether it's Chablis or Bordeaux or whatnot, all of my European and my Aussie colleagues would say something like, "Ooh, vanilla." Right? I'd say coconut.
Yeah.
You know, so I always like to think of that elephant, like they calling something by what they know.
Yeah.
But for us, we know it as something different. And if it's a smoky white Chardonnay, I'll always say Pandan because it was in our household. But now Pandan isn't as big in Filipino culture as it is in Thai, in Viet,
Yeah.
and in Indo culture. So we don't celebrate it as much as you guys. But with Ube, we love it because it's kind of historical as well. So when there was the war, or with the Japanese and the Americans, or when Philippines gets flattened, so there's a typhoon in Philippines at the moment, Ube is from the ground. So you can't really industrialize it. So when there's nothing, or when they were hiding during the war, it sustained the people. And that's why it's got the amulet,
I was wondering what that
agimat,
resembles.
which means
I have it on my
lucky.
table.
Right, so I'm not wearing my grandfather's ring, which is my agimat, or my son calls me his agimat. So this food to us is it's sacred to us, or special.
So that's the symbolism behind it. We'll dive a bit more onto the product itself because you do say you export small batch Australian wines to the Philippines. Sorry, what's small batch, just for reference here?
Small batch is not a commercial quantity. Yeah, so with the run that we had of vintage wines from Yarra Valley, it was just 300 bottles of each. So each was numbered. When you get up to a specific quantity, you kind of have to, I wouldn't say cut corners, but to achieve a profitable price point, you need to do less, right? Whereas if you make a small run, you can do everything that you want, right? And so with that part, with the wine part to the Philippines, it's a long game. I think the Vietnamese actually consume more wine in Vietnam than they do in the Philippines.
Well, let's go back to consumption of alcohol. What's the main consumption of alcohol that we do in the area, according to your statistics?
In Australia?
Yeah, or maybe the area. In
this area?
Yeah, let's say Cabramatta.
Yes. Southwest Sydney, where Vietnamese Aussies live. They are pretty much the highest concentration of consumers of cognac per capita.
Specifically
in the Southern Hemisphere.
In the Southern Hemisphere?
In the Southern Hemisphere, right? So specifically around, there's two well-known retailers. One starts with P, the other one starts with V, so Porters and Valore. They sell more Hennessy in all of Australia more than Dan Murphy's.
Far out. That's just Hennessy.
And it was really weird for me. So I worked for Moet Hennessy, Maui or Moet Hennessy is the MH in LVMH, which is the wine and spirits division. Now, it's kind of one of the smaller players, but they've got some great product or great brands, and one of them is cognac. So I've been to cognac, love cognac, and cognac's not really well understood except for the Vietnamese Australian community.
Yeah.
You guys just know what it is. You guys get it. Like, it's a wine first that's then distilled into a spirit. And that's why it's always going to be more expensive than whiskey, because it's a double process. Yeah. You got to turn it into wine. You got to barrel it. Then you got to distill it.
Yeah.
And then barrel it again. Like, that's expensive, right? And there's a lot of provenance in it. And, you know, I always talk to the market of Australia in two ways, to our white brothers and sisters. So I've said brothers and sisters enough, so I'll just call them the white guys because we're Asian guys. So to the white guys and girls, I would be like Nas, hip hop, NBA when talking Hennessy. But to the Vietnamese Australian community, it's like, you know, provenance, luxury, success.
Yeah.
Because that's what it means to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite, it was unusual, but it worked because the Aussies don't understand cognac. They got brandy here. Do we sell a lot of brandy in Australia? No.
I don't remember.
We should. We make a lot of wine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
We
remember
make
the
great
last time I
whiskey.
had one. Like brandy.
What's a popular brand? I don't actually.
a brandy.
Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head.
St. Agnes.
I don't even know that. So that's why it's not marketed.
Now we're more about. I mean, Aussies drink more whiskey than anything.
They do.
Yeah, I mean, you got
whiskey.
like you got a lot of whiskey brands popping up in Tasmania now, like
Heaps.
yeah, Lark and Starwood. So they're really big on that. But you're right. I mean,
We make great whiskey in Tasmania. We make great wine in Australia. Put them two together, you got brandy.
yeah,
Now, for those people that don't know, brandy is the same as cognac. You just can't call it cognac because it's not made from that place.
Oh,
but
okay.
essentially, it's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like champagne and sparkling
Correct.
and Scotch and whiskey. Yeah,
Correct.
Scotch and
yeah, the same.
Oh, really?
yeah. So you can only have Scotch from Scotland.
Oh,
and,
I didn't know that.
champagne from the
Shit.
Champagne region.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah,
I'm just a general consumer here.
yeah.
Why is it you guys drink so much cognac? Like I remember going to a few
It's funny.
weddings around here.
Yeah,
And you get the VN music coming on.
That's just the vibe. Yeah, it's the same beat for every song, but
And
it just
then
works.
My uncle, like my friends' uncles and aunties, like start getting out. Was it all back then? It was like Crown Lager and
yeah.
Hennessy and what was is it Chivas or was it?
Oh,
Chivas?
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
Regal,
yeah,
yeah.
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 Yeah, it's like the holy trinity of Viet drinks. Apart from if you don't count VB, then it's like
VB's in the middle.
yeah.
Trinity, yeah.
It's like VB is like the water, you know. But,
Yeah, yeah.
no, you get like Hennessy, Crown Lager, and then Chivas. But it's funny because I'm planning my wedding at the moment.
I was going to
Yes.
say,
The big
what are
thing
you
is
getting?
everyone's
I'll
like,
hook you up.
thanks. they're like, don't skip out on the Hennessy. You need to have like a bottle of Hennessy on every table.
Each table, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially on
nuts.
with the uncles and aunties and everything.
Aunties.
Yeah.
Aunties are one that's scary.
I thought it was the
They
uncles
can
that-
drink.
Yeah, the
Oh.
aunties drink, like
Well,
yeah.
compared to Filipino culture, the aunties don't drink as much.
That's true, yeah. Oh, you say that, yeah.
I mean, for us, I think it's the love of Hennessy is inherited from our older relatives. For them, it probably is like it's right. It is a status thing for them. But I mean, we've grown up seeing them drink it, and then eventually they give some to you, and you're like, oh, this is what you have when you're old. Yeah, it's disgusting when
Yeah.
you're
It's
sad,
like,
but, like,
wow.
it's what you have when you're old. You know,
Yeah.
and then you kind of grow into it.
You grow into it,
Yeah.
as your taste matures.
Yeah, and
It's a really complex drink.
yeah,
It's very hard to break down the taste of cognac because other people just like they go, oh, it's hot. It's like a common term. So it's like, okay, they're not getting past the alcohol.
Yep.
You got to teach them to get past that. But once they do, then it's really interesting. It's what's the word? Eau de vie, right? So like the perfect blend. That's
Yeah.
what they're searching for in cognac.
and that's why I find it very difficult to drink in Hennessy green tea. If you know,
Yep.
if you go to
Oh,
karaoke,
karaoke,
they
yeah,
just mix
yeah.
it in with the green tea.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of like it's like when
It's awful.
Yeah, it's awful because
Yeah, I don't like
anytime
it.
anyone ever mixes a scotch for me, like it just destroys the scotch for me as well.
Mm.
It's really difficult to have that way, and like all the complexity gets lost in that kind of cocktail.
Yes, yeah. And I was one of those guys
Yeah.
promoting to the venue to put green tea in it and baijiu and everything else. Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. So let's start from the beginning here, Siggy. So you've started this business 5 years. What happened before that led up to 7,000 Islands? What were you doing before?
I think I was much more relaxed. Definitely enjoying traveling. I think like you guys. So I'd had a career working on things or products that I liked.
Yep.
Right. So I like watches. I worked for the Swatch Group. I was pushing long jeans for a while down in Melbourne. And then after that, the start of my alcohol journey, decided to go to London during the GFC. Right. I thought I was going to work in a bar.
Yeah.
Right, because the sky was falling during the global
Yeah,
financial
yeah.
crisis. My parents are going, "You're crazy. You're not going to get a job."
Yeah.
So I'd already told myself, "Okay, I'm going to work in a bar." Went over there, and then I ended up landing a gig with Bacardi.
On the rum.
Yes,
Yeah.
the rum, and I was just like, how does this even happen? Like I just like felt like I talked my way into it. But that market there, like the pace, scale and volume is so much more than Australia. So they've got 60,000 people. Here it's work hard, play hard, rest hard. There's no rest in the UK.
Yeah.
You would have seen when you're there.
I mean, we were out on a Monday night and all the taverns and pubs were full.
All open, right?
Yeah.
And so I was working for Bacardi on this little brand called Drambuie. And no one knows what Drambuie is, right? And it kind of primed me for this Ube stuff because Drambuie is like a Scottish whiskey liqueur. It was the smallest within the 12 brands. So we had like Bacardi, there was Bombay, there was Jack Daniels, there was Finlandia, there was Grey Goose, and all the way down at the bottom was me. And it was literally pound the pavement, knock on the doors. Oh, so you don't want me to come back? Sure. I'll see you next week.
Wow.
That's
like cutthroat,
really cutthroat, right? Because it was a seasonal drink. It was, they have this thing called a hot toddy. Like a warm.
It's a tea, isn't it?
But with the whiskey.
Yeah.
And that was like its shining glory, for a couple of months at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so that was really tough, but I guess they liked something. So I got promoted into the Jack Daniels team.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. So there's Bacardi and then there's Brown-Forman, like actually two separate companies, but in London they're together as a joint entity. And Jack was the second biggest brand for them, and I came from being by myself into being in a team of 10. It was like weird. I was like, oh, I've got people. I got teammates. I got people that I can work on. And it just fell really hard into spirits then. And consumed a lot. I was doing festivals as well. I did Glasgow.
Oh, cool.
I did Love Box, did Isle of Wight, all of them around the circuit, just pushing booze. And it was interesting because, yes, there's alcohol involved, but it's actually you're trying to create the conditions for people to have fun. And that was the main thing that I got, right? Don't just sell booze, just actually put on a show or get them to experience something, particularly the music component. And then went back. I was had my 2-year stint, and then I resigned, and I was gonna go to New York, and probably forgot to be careful because I lost my passport in the Philippines at a friend's wedding, at Joe and Nino's wedding. So I was stuck in the Philippines, and I had sort of like my alcohol hat on. So I was like, why do they drink this? Why don't they drink that? Like no one was drinking wine. Everyone was drinking spirits. So Philippines is up there with Taiwan, like 60% spirits.
Wow.
Share of throat is what we call it. And beer. And then, traveled, went to festivals and learned the language because I came to Australia when I was like 7. So my Tagalog back then was like a 7-year-old. As an adult.
That's like my Vietnamese now.
Your vocabulary.
And
so I learned Tagalog again, and I really miss my family. So I went back. I went back to Australia to spend time with my family, and landed a gig with Moet Hennessy. I had no idea who they were. I kind of knew they were with Diageo, but I was like, oh, cool. You guys got Hennessy? Was the first one. Then Glen Morangi, awesome. Oh, and you do this thing called champagne? Like, I've heard of that. What's that? Right? I drink, but I don't drink that much champagne at the time. So then they put me through their training, going to the wineries down in Yarra Valley, in Greenpoint for Shandon. Cape Mentelle out on the west coast in Perth, and also had the luxury of going to Cognac. That was amazing. To see how it's made and get some training.
France is that?
You have to take a train. To us, it's amazing, but to them, it's like going to Penrith.
Yeah, well, that's the thing because
it's not a sexy place.
Yeah, well, when I went to London earlier this year, I had to transit through France. And I took a train from Zurich. I took 3 trains from Zurich. But it's crazy that I could make it from Switzerland to London in one day just on trains.
Amazing, isn't it?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm still yet to do the Europe trip, but it's just I keep hearing about how accessible it is to just go from one country to another in such a small amount of time.
Yeah, well, it saves, like for us, we have to turn up at the airport 3 hours early for an international flight. You can turn up like 20 minutes before, actually 30 minutes before
Literally.
the train.
Yeah.
In Europe.
To me.
I remember taking the train from London to go to Paris. Just have a picnic. a day trip.
Yeah, it's only an hour through the Eurostar tunnel.
It's so weird to me. I just can't fathom that.
If you go in your car, you can step out of your car and then we just have beer standing whilst you're under the English Channel.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
So where were we up to? So you were at
Melbourne.
Working for Maui.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I fell in love with wine again then, because the first time I had wine was I was working in Parramatta in this bar called the Roxy. I'm not sure if it's still around anymore.
No, it's closed. It's
closed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it open or?
No, the structure is still there, but the whole complex is closed. I think it's marked for demolition.
Oh, really?
I think so, because the whole
Landmark.
place. Yeah. It honestly, it looks like a church. When you walk past it.
Is it still pink?
No. They still got the big Roxy sign. I think last time I saw it, it had a huge Roxy sign in front of it still.
Yeah.
But it was a nightclub for a while.
So when I was going to Western Sydney, that was my bar job.
Yeah.
My first one. And they got me doing coffees. They got me doing the bar, pouring beers after doing some glassy work. And they're like, all right, we get you on some cocktails and you got to learn wine. And I'm like, what's that? Because like Philo household, we didn't drink wine.
Yeah, you mentioned that in your article. You had another interview and you were saying that wine in the Philippines is considered a luxury.
Very much so.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, there's Philippines, it's only for rich people.
And compared to here, wine's like goon.
Accessible. Yeah, totally.
$4 for a box.
Yeah.
It's completely different, yeah.
Oh, and you know how we were talking about taste before?
Yes.
Okay, so wine has this concept called dry.
Yes.
Right? So how would you explain dry?
When
it's like a feeling, right? It leaves after.
Yeah, it's when you drink it, it kind of.
So there's dry wine, and then some beers are called dry as well.
Yeah, it's just like I know it's hard to explain, but after you drink it,
you
kind of like
it makes sense.
You know?
It's a tactile sense.
Yeah,
just like astringency.
That's yeah.
So astringency is when you have a green banana, and then your mouth goes. It tightens up, and then dryness is similar. It's a tactile sense. So I had my first Annie's Lane Riesling, which then was a great wine under Rosemount, and I experienced this dry taste. I was like, "What is that?" It's kind of like tastes like apple, kind of like tastes like peach, but it's this strange sensation in my mouth. So as an Asian person who didn't drink wine, even though then I think I was like 20, it was really fascinating. And I then understood it as the concept of dry, which is the technical term is the absence of sweetness. Oh, so when sweet withdraws, then you get this tactile feeling in your mouth.
Right.
Kind of like a puckering.
Yeah.
So that was my first experience with wine. And then working with Maui, I drank a lot of good stuff. Like I'm a snob now when it comes to drinks. Just like with chocolates. Yeah. Like I can't. I mean, I'll drink goon, but like if I can avoid it, quality over quantity, right?
Yeah.
Drink great cognac. Don't drink shit brandy. And same with wine. So I sometimes now meet a lot of really well-to-do Asian Filipino businessmen that have no idea about wine. Right. And if, me and my wine mates, we try and have pissing contests as to how much, I've tried this, you haven't. I've drunk a lot of wine, and it was super fascinating because I thought that why aren't we having more of this with our food? Because our food matches wine. Vietnamese food I brought a wine here that matches your sour soup or pho.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's really interesting. So look, the philosophy with wine pairing, like with that training with them, they get you to do this thing called WSET or WSET, which is the Wine Spirits Education Trust. You can do some others, but it's very Eurocentric, right? So you have Italian wine, you try it with Italian food. So if there's Italian charcuterie, then you try it with that. Because their food is simple,
Yeah.
but our food is really complex, right? And so if you have like the citrusy linear Chardonnay that I brought today with, what's your Vietnamese sour soup called? Like it's similar to the Thai one, but it doesn't have, does it have pineapple? It doesn't have pineapple.
Sour soup.
Isn't
Isn't that just called sour soup?
No.
Ganjor.
Yeah, ganjua. Yeah. The
Yeah.
little translation is
It's just sour soup.
Yeah.
Sour soup,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's served hot, right?
Mm.
And then so when you have the right kind of Chardonnay, I would describe that soup as umami. And there's the sourness. Aussies they kind of get confused by it because it kind of hits them like this,
Yeah.
literally, because they don't have sour food.
Yeah.
They don't celebrate it like you would in that dish.
Yeah.
So once you get past the sourness, then what's the next level of taste that you get from that dish?
Slightly sweet, isn't it?
There's
Yeah.
a bit of sweetness. And then at the bottom, so just think of it in threes.
The saltiness.
Yeah, this is the savoriness
Yeah.
at the bottom, right? When you have that with the right kind of Australian wine, you get to experience that pleasure at 3 different levels. You don't get that with European food.
Oh no. I've never thought about our food in like as like levels
Viet
of
food
flavor.
is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, but I've never thought about it as like flavors at different levels, like the same
The
way you would
layers.
think
I never
about
thought of that.
like
yeah,
perfume.
because we have depth of flavor.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'll think of it like a Ouija board or like a diamond.
Mm.
Yeah. When you're having Asian food or Viet food with wine, you can kind of tilt your match in your tongue where you want it to go, even with that kind of dish.
okay.
We need to try this now.
Yeah,
Because
I've never thought about it.
I just eat Viet food, but then I never think about.
I don't
all
really
these
drink when
extra
I eat
things.
Viet food,
That
apart
too,
from like
yeah.
beer.
Because I'm eating
Yeah.
with my parents.
Is that a cultural thing?
Well, because usually I'm eating it with my parents, and I
Yep.
don't really drink when I'm with them. At least wine.
But also, I mean, my introduction to wine would have been at work, right? And I mean, as a solicitor, you kind of just drink it with your clients. And
Yes.
anytime you take your clients anywhere, it's usually somewhere like Italian or French or something.
Okay.
So that's where I usually have it. But I've never been to, I mean, like a fancy Asian restaurant and had wine with the food.
Yeah.
That's true.
You should
Yeah.
try it. You should.
Yeah.
I thought you said you were going to like go to a dancer's or something.
Oh, no.
But the best, and giving a shameless plug here for a restaurant that's closed, the best Asian food and wine pairing I ever had was here in Sydney in Australia, and it was in Surrey Hills. Well, I'm getting chills just remembering it. Like it was a restaurant called Bang, Bang, which
Yeah.
is like I think closed a couple of years now.
Oh, damn.
But the chef, I think, was Sri Lankan or Bangladeshi. Sorry, I'm being racist. And then the Aussie guy, or was it the other way around? But like it was amazing. All of this Bangladeshi food with deep umami, spicy, savory curries, all matched with a different, rich, fleshy Portuguese wine.
Oh,
Yum. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I was like having like, I was in gastro heaven. Like that was cool. And for me, that's what I'm searching for is the match. Like food is awesome. Just like I remember my first Annie's Lane. I remember my first pho with my mum. She took me to Faux Pasteur in, was it Church Street, Parramatta?
Yeah. It's really good.
And I was just like, wow, like it just,
That's classic.
after having it, like, you know, when you have your face in a Vicks bowl as a kid,
Yeah.
I felt, and apart from it feeling nourishing and great, and I could taste all of that glutamate, all of that umami, I was just like, wow, like I feel like I've just woken up having my first, you know, when you have a first food experience and you remember it, like that's how I feel about pho, and that's how I feel about finding perfect match of food with wine or food with drink. Because in wine for us in the Philippines, wine means everything. Wine means alcohol. It here in the West, it's like beer, wine, spirits, this, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but to us it's all drink. So I don't. In your language, what's the word for drink or
Nyao.
wine?
Yeah.
Well, that's more like
But before
binge drinking.
before alcohol, it's called roll, isn't it?
Roll.
Yeah.
Is that a verb or a noun?
No, that's a noun.
It's a
That's
Yeah,
like
it's a
referring
noun.
to it.
And does it encompass everything?
It's
yeah,
if
you
my
can.
parents ever said it to me, I would take it to mean alcohol.
Yes.
If my mum asked me if I've drunk something, it'd be all.
Yeah, that just means drink.
Yeah.
Literally
Right.
drink. But nyao means more like binge drinking, like going
Right.
out for drinks. Well, it depends on the context for the word anyway.
And you were saying that you don't drink with food?
No. So
Not
the funny thing,
always.
I was actually talking to someone about this the other day. I vaguely remember like my parents just saying, "Don't drink till you've finished eating." So I've got this weird habit sometimes, unless I'm eating out, where I won't drink like water or alcohol.
I thought that was just
Until
me,
the
man.
end.
Wait, I do that as well.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
drink until I finish.
Yeah.
So this is super fascinating. So we actually tested this. So I paid for research
Yeah.
Aye.
here in Australia and also in the Philippines to try and understand this, because my whole bag is food with drink.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then just at the end of it, it's like it's just a cultural norm
Yeah.
in the Philippines anyway, or Filipinos here in Australia, that we drink before or after the meal, but not with, unless it's European food.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah. And it was only pointed out to me recently that it was not the norm, like outside of our circles. So I was like, oh, when did I learn how to do that?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you're telling me now, and I'm like, it's clicking to me. Like,
Yeah.
I've been doing
Yeah.
that the whole time. And I remember the only time I really drink when eating is like maybe if I'm at a pub and I'm just eating Western food,
Yeah.
just having a beer,
Yep, with
like a schnitzel or something,
schnitzel,
or
yeah.
like, or like a
That's
steak. Or
the one I was thinking of,
Yeah,
schnitzel with
yeah.
chips.
Yeah, but wine with food, not really. Like I
Yeah.
don't really recall doing much of
I
that.
suppose that's the beautiful thing about us growing up here, because
Mm.
then you take the norms of Anglo eating and then mix it up with our kind of cultural foods, which you're doing right now.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I reckon there should be more, like, every time I go into a Viet restaurant around here, I was just like, man, good food. I wish there was like a bottle of wine. What is the fanciest Vietnamese restaurant in Sydney? Is there one?
There is a restaurant in Darling Square. It's called Hello Auntie.
Okay.
They do Vietnamese food. It's like casual fine dining. No, it's not fine dining. It's like casual dining. It's really nice. I think their main dish is actually the Vietnamese pancake bun xào.
Oh, yum.
Yeah. But I can't think of anything that's like strictly Vietnamese and almost fine dining. I mean, like Hustlers is kind of...
It's more fusion, right?
Yeah,
Fusion. Yeah.
But like for me, if I think of Viet food, I'm like, do I really want to go to a fine dining place where if I just go to Cabramatta, there's like
Yeah.
so much good food.
That's the difficult
Legit,
sell.
yeah,
less
legit
than
good
$20
food.
bucks.
Yeah.
And I don't need to spend $100 for like this, good experience with like, I don't know, smaller portions or whatever. But it's just, there's just fantastic food nearby.
Yeah, I
So
think
I've
that's...
never really thought of going out looking for a fine dining that's Vietnamese, which is interesting, but
Yeah.
maybe we should try a place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I don't know if the concept of like Vietnamese food as
Or
fine
modern.
dining exists. Yeah.
Viet modern.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously like there's a wave of younger chefs that are trying to make it a thing now.
Yeah. Half the master chefs are always
Yeah.
Viet Aussie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the same thing I think with Thai. I mean, the last girl who won it, she was Thai. and
She's
she was,
Thai.
All right.
I think and
Ho
she,
or something? Was this someone else?
no, the Poe's like season 1, dude.
I don't watch MasterChef
15 years ago.
I think her name was Nat or something, and then she did a lot
I
of.
think was she Malaysian? Isn't
Was she Malaysian?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
That she did a lot of like Asian inspired foods, but used Australian ingredients. Like she did
Yes.
a kangaroo lab
Mm.
in one thing. That was crazy. I mean, like, and that would be difficult to do because kangaroo is like
Quite
really
tough, right?
really
Gamey.
if you don't prepare it right.
And there's a aroma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Did it work out?
yeah. She won that challenge.
I'm curious what it looks like now.
See, it's weird for me hearing you guys talk about Viet food in that way, because like Philo food is not been popular for a long time, right? Or even with us, it's like, what would I go to? Make it at home, like that. You know, that's
Yeah.
But we're kind of catching up to Thai food a little bit and to Viet food, nowhere near your level. Like the distribution, or just like if I go to another Aussie town, guaranteed there'll be a Chinese restaurant, Thai restaurant,
Yeah.
a Viet,
Either
restaurant, bread roll place, or
Yeah,
bakery, right?
Yeah.
You know, chances of finding a Philo restaurant are pretty slim.
Yeah, I think I only know about one down near like Camden Valley Way or Ingleburn. But their main thing is, I think, is it called the Bottle Party?
Okay.
Where they do
What is
like,
that? A Viet place?
No, it's a Philo place. It's
Okay.
like they
Bottle party.
bottle or I can't remember, boodle or something. But what
Oh,
it is?
boodle party.
Yeah. Where they do the whole pig.
And you eat with your hands.
And they flat lay it out on the
Was that
table.
lechon or
with,
something?
with banana leaves.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that what it's called?
It's kind of like a.
Was that on Sydney Food Boy? I think he made a post about that.
I don't know. It was years ago that I was supposed to go, but it never came to
Do
fruition.
you guys want to go to one?
We should go to one.
Yeah.
I actually do want to go to
They
one.
will have a lechon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your lechon? The like
A
roast
suckling
pig.
suckling pig? Isn't that suckling pig?
Hellquay.
Hawaii. Yeah, that's the crackling pork, right? We have
Crackling pork. Better if it's a baby.
Yeah.
A suckling pig. But yeah, the boodle fight is basically huge banana leaf spread.
Yeah.
Works when there's like 12 of you or more.
Yep.
You have a lechon there, but food everywhere. There's no spoon and fork, and you just share.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for context for our listeners, it's just a spread of like, it's like multiple small dishes and stuff. And then there's a big, I think the main dish is the suckling pig, which is usually in the middle.
You sort of like draw from a communal thing. So
Yeah.
you don't have a plate.
Yeah.
It's like it's half experience, half food, you know?
Pretty much, yeah.
No, we need to go to one. I've only been to one recently because I was in Melbourne last week or the week before. And because I was going to Philippines, I was seeking out a Philippine restaurant just to try because I was like,
Which one you go to?
I went to, oh man, I don't remember. I have a photo of it. This is what I had. It was like just a standard rice dish with like chicken.
Yep.
And then there's chicken feet as well as skewers. But then the interesting thing was the sauce that they gave me because I wasn't too familiar with what it was. They gave me, I think it was like a vinegar type dip for the chicken feet.
Yep.
And then this is one here. There was like a yellow kind of thing here. And then I was like, what is this? And I tried it. I couldn't put my finger on it. So I had to ask the guy and he's like, it's chicken oil. And apparently it's a dip. But I was like, I've never heard of chicken oil as a dip before.
That's probably where we intersect with the way that you guys eat, like with having, we call it sausawan or like achara. And like you guys have the sugar, carrot,
Oh, yeah.
vinegar thing.
Yeah, it's like
But there's like a lot of variations of that. That's the only time that we'll
I was going to
sort
say
of go into that area.
that dish that you showed us is vaguely reminiscent of like a dish you'd have that's Vietnamese. It's like crispy chicken. It honestly looks like
Crispy
it.
chicken, which is perfect with this mango.
Yeah.
Mango hazy.
It's called, for context, Barcada Pinoy. That's the
Barcada
restaurant.
Pinoy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
I'll
the
check them
restaurant.
out.
Well, it was just
was
a
that
random
like
one.
a chicken in a sal or smoked chicken?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. I just like Googled Philippine restaurant. I just walked there. It was turned out pretty nice.
So it sounds like your experience with all your previous work and obviously life as well has all gone into creating the product line you have now.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you when you were creating the beers and the liquor, did you think about like what would it go well with, or would you work another way?
I don't make the beers and I don't distill the spirit. I make wine.
Yeah.
But because of the people that we're dealing with in the Philippines and my background in spirits are like, take me to your country. And I'm like, sure. Okay.
So
I'll give it a shot.
at the back of the bottle too, it says "Made in the Philippines."
Yeah, made in the Philippines. And so, I mean, I'd love to distill here. We'd probably need $500,000.
Yeah.
Round up some investors.
Cover that bet.
But they're really good at distilling, and the all the raw ingredients are there. So I'm like, no,
That makes sense.
I'll buy it off you. I'll import it and distribute it. And we took a punt with the Ube, but really believed in it. So
It's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So
Not sponsored. You didn't slip us any money before recording this either.
So brought this in, and then he introduced me to the guy that does the beers, Engkanto, and then he kind of rubber armed me into a couple of pallets, and the next thing you know, a few containers later, and beer behaves very differently, but beer is a great food match.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if you have that saying in Vietnamese, or like we have a beer match kind of like phrase of like, we call it pulutan, which means pick up food with beer.
Just VB.
Yeah.
Just VB.
Anything's VB. Just eat it.
And all of the beers from the Philippines, this one, Engkanto, all won an award at the Royal Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
In May
it's got a sticker
2022.
here, right?
Yeah.
And World's Best as well.
So it's was that 2022 World Liquor Awards.
Yeah. And you've got the SIP Awards Innovation Award as well, World Spirits Competition 2021.
Yeah, so I'll just explain it for people. I'll just grab a...
Sorry, we'll take a quick second.
Have you got the beers that you've imported into any pubs locally?
A few, yeah. Mostly in Melbourne for some reason. Their hospitality is still going strong, and they're more independent down there. It's probably the way to put it. So we have more retail stores in Sydney. I don't know if you've noticed, a lot of people go out less in Sydney
Yes.
recently.
Yeah, nightlife's pretty dead.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
reflected in the trade. And talking to other guys. But down in Melbourne, I mean, I think just in the last 12 months, we've had at least more than 15 new Filipino modern restaurants open.
Ah.
And that's on top of the other cultural venue openings. So, yeah, we do have a few, but in the mainstream, like we're in a few here in Sydney, but because beer is like locked out, is probably the way to put it, like tap contracts. And really beer is run in Australia by two Japanese companies. I'm pretty sure you know who they are.
Yes.
Kirin and Asahi,
Yeah.
Sorry.
that own all of the Aussie brands. So it's quite difficult to get this on keg.
I didn't know that they owned all the Aussie brands.
They do.
It's like one big mother company. It's like who's the one that I think it's like Nestle owns all these.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big mothership of companies. Yeah.
It's actually, it's like that in a lot of industries. Like with the watch industry, there's only like really 3 big parent companies or something.
Yeah.
Apart from the smaller,
Well, the
luxury
Swatch Group
brands. Yeah.
owns
Oh, yeah.
40%, who I used to work for.
Yeah.
And then there's Richmond.
Yeah.
And
LVMH. own
LVMH,
a fair
yeah.
few as well.
But in here, I've been trying to convince the guys at Neo Bar to take on the beers. But I think we've got our first one in Western Sydney. Will be in Blacktown
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
at
Yeah.
West Point, home of the Filipinos.
At this point.
At a place in, what's it called? Dining Collective. So it's green peppercorn.
Oh, yeah.
yes, yes.
desserts.
Yes, yes.
So Tona and Kuya Den, so Angel's Barbecue, they're teaming up to take over the bar there, and so yeah, we'll have the beers there and hopefully on tap as well.
Is that a new bar or new bistro in the hotel or something?
It's like a new dining precinct
right.
in West Point,
Yeah, okay.
and I actually have an axe to grind about that. So I grew up in Blacktown, right? So I told you guys before, I have no shame in my postcode.
Yeah.
I went to school in Mount Druitt. I went to a school called Loyola College, which was a Jesuit school. And
What school?
Jesuit
school. Yeah. I was like
What does that mean?
like a order of,
It's an order of monks. Catholic monks, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
Oh, I never heard of this.
Haven't you ever seen Shogun?
they're like one step away from like the hardcore Catholics. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Opus Dei guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funny thing, a bit of trivia. Have you guys seen Dune?
Yes.
Maybe no,
yeah, the
not yet.
Benny Gesserit, based off the Jesuits.
That one.
Yeah,
Yes.
I need to see this.
So they're like an order. Like, so my school's brother and sister schools was St. Ignatius Riverview or St. Aloysius North Sydney. And they would smash us in rugby, cricket and AFL, but we would always beat them in soccer on Jesuit Day. Because we had all the Croats, the Serbs, the Italians.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, my issue with living in Blacktown is not that I live there. I actually love living there, but my council, unlike yours, and the businesses there, they don't see us. Right? We've got a couple of politicians that are on council, but we've never had a Filipino mayor. We don't even have a Filipino town. It should be Rudy Hill. They just use us for votes. And if you go to Mount Druitt Westfield in the food court, there's not a single Filipino vendor. It's really insulting. It really is. But when I come here, like your mayor's like, Viet, the businesses are Viet, the street is owned by a Viet person. That's cool. We don't have that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the acts like I think a lot of Asians have to grind sometimes. Like generally, we feel underrepresented, right?
Totally.
Like, yeah. And it'd be especially difficult if that was the case in your own hometown.
Last year, so my fiance works for state government, so I won't say which one. So last year they made some fanfare about what was it? We're going to name Eastwood Koreatown. We're going to name Harris Park Little India.
Yeah, heard that.
We're going to name Blacktown The Gathering of hip hop, Afghan, and Filipino food. What the fuck? They really don't see us, especially when we make up like 25% of that population.
Yeah,
it's fucked.
I would have thought it was more too.
No, you can beep that out. Like,
no, we don't beep.
And I've met my Filipino council representatives, and I've told them as much. I was just like, why don't we have a Filipino town? Why isn't there a vendor in Mount Druitt Westfield? What's wrong with that? Like, it's just dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I have a commercial interest, but also I have a passionate interest to be like, they don't see us.
Yeah.
It's not even like a few restaurants there, like around the area?
With Filipinos in it, but they're working. It's not a filler, it's a Mexican restaurant. So in the Westfield, but outside there's plenty.
Yeah.
It feels like we're being excluded. I don't know, we'll pull the race card or something. It's just like, I'm just saying facts.
Yeah.
It's what I observe.
Is it an issue because Filipinos aren't buying into these like contracts to rent these spaces out in Westfield?
No, Westfields are stupid.
Westfield are notoriously hard to deal with.
So I'll big up the ECQ guys. Fraser Property.
Yeah.
They've redeveloped. I think, did they redevelop, is it Edensa Park or Bosley? Edensa Square or something?
Ed Square?
Ed Square?
It's like down
Edmondson, you mean?
Edmondson Square.
Yeah, Edmondson Square.
So they did a version in Rudy Hill.
Yeah.
And I've spoken to the guy, the property guy, and he's like, I'm trying to get as much Filipino vendors in here. And guess what? They got a lot of Filipino vendors, a lot of local traffic. And he's Greek. And he's saying, I don't know why those other guys down the road would say no to your community. It's like an instant market. I go, he's a smart guy. And he's not even Asian.
Yeah.
He's European.
Yeah, Westfield just don't care because they just... They have
it's all changed.
Yeah, exactly. And
Probably
their
maybe too
leases
much.
are
horrendous.
really bad.
So I'm wrapped with like toner and green peppercorn desserts, and Dan and Angel's Barbecue are teaming up to take over the bar in the food court on top of West Point, which is not a Westfield, because we need that. It's the only Philo restaurant in a shopping centre.
Yeah.
In Western Sydney.
I just don't think about that, hey?
It's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But there's like more than 30 Philo modern restaurants in Melbourne. Like the dynamics is really strange. Yeah, so long-winded way of saying, yes, we've got the beer. But it's all down south for some reason.
Because I'm going out tonight, so I just want to know where to go.
Yeah, okay, maybe you should
Well, you can
hunt
get
it
the Ube from Neo Bar.
Yeah.
That's in Canley.
Yeah. Is there anywhere in the city yet?
Nihao Bar.
Sydney. Nihao Bar. Yeah.
There's an awesome rum bar called Rosie Campbell's in Surrey Hills, because this is actually based on sugarcane. The base of the alcohol.
The Ube Liqueur, for context.
Of the Ube Liqueur.
Yeah.
And sugarcane came from Southeast Asia before Christopher Columbus took it to the Caribbean.
Going into the alcohol industry, is it not hard? Because you always hear about the news about, there's always extra tax for alcohol and all this. Like,
A lot.
How hard is it to factor in, like, in starting a business like this?
In terms of the tax? Or?
Yeah.
Well, look, it's an unfair tax. We were talking about that this week. We're trying to get the beers in before February,
Right.
the next container, because we have a twice a year increase in tax.
Twice a year?
Yeah, twice a year. February and August.
Because every year this always happens.
Every year, same date, without
By how
fail.
much?
So by how much? Pegged to CPI.
Oh my god.
So right
What's it
now,
currently at?
we are the third highest excise in the world,
Yeah.
behind Norway and some other
That's
Scandinavian.
crazy.
$103.65 per litre of alcohol you pay in excise. So when you look at a bottle and it's imported,
Yeah.
if it's $80, take out the margin, half of the cost is tax. Goes to the ATO.
That's crazy because, I mean, like, you kind of notice it when you go overseas and you look
Yeah.
at the price
Oh,
of
yeah.
alcohol there and you're
Oh,
like, what
yeah.
the hell?
Yeah.
Like
You're like-
Japan, bro.
yeah, like
we're going back to Japan. So,
Yeah, $2 beers.
we love Japan. Their drinks are just ridiculously
Like
cheap.
Czechoslovakia, the beer is like cheaper
Yeah,
than water.
same thing. Yes.
In Prague.
Same thing in, like, yeah, most of Europe, like, the beer's reasonably priced.
Have you noticed a lot of beer companies, craft beer guys are going bust in Australia?
You just don't see a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I think of a few craft beer places, I
Because
just
that excise is not just for import, it's also for local.
really?
Yeah.
Why is this a thing? Why is it tax so hard?
So they had a hard go during COVID because they got, some of them made like the hand sanitizer thing, but most of the brewers, you have to change your equipment. So they got a whammy from that. They got a little uptick. And then afterwards, that's the excise increase just kept on rising and rising. So a lot of them have gone bust. Yeah. So if you want to buy equipment, there's a lot of good secondhand gear.
All right, so
I've always
that's a good
wanted to try
idea.
brewing beer at home. But
They always have those kits in like Aldi. It's like, brew your own beer.
You can just brew it here.
Yeah, I was thinking of it to try it because it ends up a lot cheaper.
I remember one of the experiments we had to do in Year 12 chemistry was actually distilling alcohol.
Oh yes, this one.
Yeah. It's not that hard.
Can you explain how distillation works, like just from a school science way,
So my
just for the listeners?
I remember we took orange juice and we let it ferment because we put yeast in it, let it ferment. So
Yes.
then the alcohol is created inside that sugar mixture. And then once that's done, we had to titrate it,
Yep.
which is you heat up the sugar mixture. It passes through special equipment, which consists of like a glass tube, which cools the vapor going through it.
Yep.
And the alcohol part falls out at one end,
Yep.
and then the rest of it goes away.
That's very technical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
And hence the word spirit.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
The vapor.
The vapor, yeah.
So they catch it at the top,
Yep.
which is
You're blowing my
typically
mind here.
a gooseneck,
Yeah.
or the technical term is alembic still, which is Arabic. So the word for alak.
I like that.
Alak,
Yeah.
arak.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I did.
So
These
our
little
language, so
Easter
our,
eggs on
our
this
old
bottle.
language before the Spaniards came and Christianized us was Arabic.
You know, I always
Was
think
that-
about that.
Sanskrit.
I think about that with Vietnamese language because we
Yeah,
adopted.
you had a different language.
Like
before,
French,
I don't know.
right?
French came and like
Yeah, it's just part
Frenchified
of
you guys.
French.
Yeah. So like every other Asian culture around that area has like some sort of script.
Yes,
We just have English letters with accents.
with accents.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, for context, just before, there are Arabic letters. Is it,
Arak.
what's the right term? Is it engraved or is it wax sealed? How does this even get on here?
Oh, it's embossed.
Embossed. Yeah.
Yeah, so this just says, so this is, so the brand is actually called Agimat at Ugat.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of says it there, but I already explained Agimat being like a totem
Yep.
or a lucky person or thing. And Ugat just means from the earth. And it's written in Old Filipino,
Yeah.
which is Baybayin or script, or sometimes the anglicized version is Alibata. So Philippines was like predominantly Muslim before the Spanish came. Did a lot of trade with the Indians, with the Arabs. And so this language, I mean, we call it alak, which is a very Austronesian word, which is closely related to arak or araki. So it traces back all the way through to the Middle East, which is pretty cool.
Because the Arabs have a drink, or at least the Lebanese do. It's called arak.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's it's that aniseed liqueur. It's so good. But if you drink too much, because everyone home brews it, just on the floor. Yeah, like it's clear in the bottle, and then what you're supposed to do is add water to it, and then it turns milky.
What's the percentage of this?
Depends on how you brews it.
Yeah, I don't think they're measuring it.
Yeah. Oh, but man, it's really good.
Yeah,
like it's got like this kind of astringency as well, and like it's because it's you know when you eat pho and there's like that kind of I don't know how to say
Describe
it.
It's just try.
It's tart.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's tart.
What's tart?
The actual alcohol, the aniseed in it.
Yep.
Yeah, and when you drink it, it kind of feels milky as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really good.
I think when we eat food, and when I'm talking to my Filipino brothers and sisters, and I'm saying, you should do some pairing, you get more white customers, and then they'll buy more because I always say to them, if you're making 100 a day or 1,000 a day or a week, technically, if you sell drink, you could be making 1,600. You don't even need to make it; you just offer it. We get into this strange discussion about trying to explain our food to Aussie guys. And I go, so explain to me how you would describe adobo. And what they would always do is like, they just list ingredients. So they would be like, well, it's protein, and then there's vinegar, and then there's onion, and there's potato. No, that's not taste. That's an ingredients list. So I like it how you try to describe
the
your
sensation.
Yeah, the sensation, because I think it's important to, when you do that, you can actually reach out to the broader Aussie community and get them to understand your food. Yeah. And get them to accept it or even champion it.
Yeah. And you're trying to expand that more with the Ube Festival.
Yes.
You ran Sydney Ube Festival, which ran, was it early September?
Was it the 5th?
October?
It was Saturday. Yeah, Saturday the 5th of October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did that go?
Good. It was in its second year.
Yeah.
We had the first one in Alexandria in my old warehouse, and we decided to put it this year in Town Hall, which was good and bad because we weren't expecting that many people to show up, particularly the grandmas, the uncles and aunties who, like, we said we'd open at 11 and they came at 10, obviously because they're old and they were hungry. And look, it was good. And it was really important to put it in the middle of the city because we wanted to share our culture with Aussies. And for us, Ube, it's a food, but actually for us, it's kind of like a sign that it's Christmas. So to us, Ube is like a festive thing or fiesta.
Yeah, it's like eggnog.
Oh, right.
Yeah, okay.
It's like when you put the Christmas tree out.
Yeah.
You know it's time. And for us, it's also like, you know, we think we can sing and we think we can dance. So we wanted to show that aspect to bring, like, it's more than a food. It's a sign of this time. And that was pretty cool. I think we really put off a lot of the old Philos, the uncles and aunties, because they just wanted to eat ube. But for the Aussies, they loved it. For the guys that walked in around the city, they loved it because they had no idea what's ube, you know.
It's just out in the open, and we can just walk up and try
they
things,
could just walk. It was ticketed.
Yeah.
I think we had about 3,000 people come through.
How much is the ticket?
Free.
Oh, it's free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
3,000.
So that was pretty cool. And like for culture as well. So we had Wayne doing Baybayin riding, which is actually closely related to Anis or Kali, or like the Indonesian fighting. We had like a Filipino Tagalog school, which is very unusual for our culture. I think for you guys, it's normal to have a Viet school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't like it, but I appreciate it.
I didn't go. I kind of wish I did, but
Yeah,
We have
I mean,
covered that.
you guys take it for granted. Like
Yeah.
for
Yes.
us, it's more like, no, you have to speak English and learn English.
Mm. Are there many options to even learn your language here? Are there any schools for that?
Not many. There's a couple. One of them was there. We also had like traditional dress. We had a Benig zone, which is we there was no chairs. We forced people to sit on the floor with the bamboo weave.
Yeah.
Full. The only thing that was missing was we didn't get the plants.
Yeah. And what else happened in the festival here? So they were coming in to try it.
Try it. We had performers.
Yeah.
We were featuring local Western Sydney talent, not just Philos, but also like Samo and Steve was there, or DeAndre. I think Crazy Will Ilp's like Indo. Again, because I come from the West, I wanted to celebrate the energy that was coming out here because there's so much great talent that doesn't get played on the radio.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So look, that was good. It wasn't it was just really important to try and get the word. We did some street interviews,
Oh yeah.
like with like the influencers that we had. We're talking to Aussie guys on the street. That was cool. Just saying to them, "Have you tried ube?" and then giving them mooncake that had taro in it, or giving them like a taste of, not the drinks because you can't serve drinks on the street.
Oh, yes.
But just getting their reactions, and then getting a Kiwi guy, and it's like, oh, this is like kumara. Yeah. So it was doing that will expand the acceptance of this, because there's a role to play to tell people about not only please buy it, no, actually, what is it?
Yeah.
You got to tell them what is it. And so that's part of my reason of like, asking to be on your show, so that, because you guys kind of know what it is more than a white guy.
Yeah.
But not
There we go.
extensively.
Well, it's like a language, right? You need to know just enough to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your red bean, the dessert? I think I was asking.
Yeah.
Is it kau? I can't pronounce it right.
Red bean, what is it? What dish is this?
It's like our halo halo,
Yeah, that's what every time I see halo halo, I think about it. It's
but it's got like a...
Jare. It's Jare. Yeah, yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah. It's like a mix of sweet tapioca, coconut
Yeah.
milk, red bean.
Oh, it's jebao mel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's
So
a red
it's,
bean version as well, which my mum likes, and a blue bean version.
So in Melbourne, they just, they chuck this on.
Ah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I see that working.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
that works.
There's a Jare food truck down the street.
Is it?
Yeah.
We should go.
Just bring a bottle, give it to
Funny thing is, because I had
It's similar.
Yeah.
I had a party yesterday, and then I was showing this to all my friends to introduce them to the drink, and I just mixed it with some coconut milk
Yeah.
Perfect.
and a bit of rum, which is on the recipe card. I think.
Yes. Yeah.
But some of them just enjoyed it with just the coconut milk anyway, just alone. And they were like, it reminds me of Jare.
Yeah.
And they were like,
Yes.
and I was like, yeah, well, I think that's what you guys mix it with, like for the more complicated drinks anyway. But they really enjoyed the drink.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, it was very easy.
I'm gonna try the
Ube
beer version
Lager?
of it.
Let's try the Ube Lager. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for context, we are drinking in this episode, and there's we've gone through like 4
I
different
understand why
beers.
you put it in the glass. You can really smell it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, I have the OG glass.
Cheers.
So.
By the way, smell it, but smell it before you drink it. It's fragrant.
Oh wait, why does it smell different in that
Because
glass?
it channels it up. It's like a whiskey glass.
So glass does make a difference.
It does.
It's not a wanky thing.
yeah,
Just do it.
Everyone thinks that.
It works.
Yeah.
wine snobs, you gotta.
So
Drink a certain
with a
glass.
dark beer, you want to kind of have something that looks like a chalice. So I think some people call it a goblet. Tung, when you smell it out of the Pilsner glass, what can you smell?
All right, now I can't smell anything. You're putting me on the spot here.
And now try with this
It's very faint.
with the
And then I'll
with the
try
balloon
I'll try
glass.
Nathan's, yeah.
It kind of smells smoky to me.
Smoky.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's much more stronger.
Yeah.
In this glass,
It does make
Like,
a difference. Yeah.
It's all the volatiles. That
I'm
just
not
get
making this
channeled.
up. It's just the glass, but it makes such a big difference in the smell.
Oh,
Describe the smokiness. What kind of smoky?
it's like a sweet smokiness.
And so look, I work for LVMH. I work for Moet and Chandon and Veuve Clicquot. You kind of have to be really wanky when you're with beer and wine.
What?
So
Start swirling it.
do swirl it. If you want to warm it up, that's also fine.
Yeah.
It gets.
I've also been with.
Oh yeah, doing a little
you fan yourself.
motion. Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah, you try it with that.
But I think the important thing when tasting something or smelling it, and your smell as a sense is more dominant than your taste, is don't let any white guy or girl or sommelier or chicharone, which is a beer sommelier, tell you different. What you taste and what you sense is correct, because your sense of smell is linked to your gut, which is also linked to your memory, which is primal, like survival. So if you smell it, and for me, I smell coconut, which is probably part of that smokiness, it is correct. But if an Aussie guy comes and drinks it, they'll say vanilla, because chances are they've never had a coconut fresh. So don't let anyone tell you different that you're wrong, or don't just because a fancy French guy is saying some fancy gooseberries.
Yeah. So you're saying you know what a gooseberry is?
I don't know what a gooseberry is.
There's no wrong answer.
There's no wrong answer.
Everyone's got their
Your
own.
body's always right.
Yeah.
Your body will not betray you. It won't let you die, basically.
Now that you say coconut, it smells like
It just clicks as soon as you hear it. You're like,
yeah.
oh, coconut.
It's like the
That makes
coconut
sense.
flesh you get in that. You know the see-through drink with the coconut juice and the coconut flesh that you can get out in Cabramatta. It's in a clear plastic glass.
Yeah.
Cap it. It comes with a straw, but it's coconut juice or coconut milk, clear coconut milk with coconut flesh in it. It smells like that.
So this is ube, but it's obviously bitter.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you were saying that ube is umami before, I didn't really get it when I was drinking that, but now that I'm drinking this, it comes through like the umami.
Yeah.
Nathan knows a lot more about alcohol than I do.
And with this one, I would
That's why I asked.
pair it with Malaysian satay,
Oh yeah,
like a peanut sauce.
Yeah.
It would really bring it out. Or even a Indian curry or a Thai curry.
yeah.
We need to pair these.
Yum.
You want to hit them up?
What? Oh, you want to try the food?
Did you say that they'd go well with some of the beers?
Yeah, so the roast pork with the honey ale, yum.
I've got more.
And why would that work? Because the honey works with that salt and sweet combo, and it will just make the crackling even more. It's like putting salt in your mouth, yum.
We can do it off camera.
And then
Yeah.
I'll heat
and then
these
the
up 'cause
mango
these-
as well with
Yeah.
the chicken.
They're getting a bit cold, but I'll air fry them after. All good.
So there is some ube beers already in Australia being brewed. They interpreting it as sour, and I actually love sour beers. And sour beers is more closely related to wine, right? The sour beers came from the Netherlands post-war. They didn't have much ingredients.
Yeah.
That's sort of the genesis of that. But as a bitter expression, I really like this one.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah, I haven't tasted anything.
I've never heard of any other ube beer before at all. It's never been marketed.
Yeah, I've never come across another ube beer.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like me trying to convince white guys to have ube. What's this purple stuff?
And I like how I've seen some companies, they try to change the flavors or change the look to try and make it into more of a Western style.
Yes,
but for you
don't like that.
Yeah, you
don't like
keep
that.
it as it is.
I get really cross with my community when they dumb down our food.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, look, I did a little bit of it today, but they'll be like, "Oh, it's like a yam." No, it's not a yam. It's ube. Call it what it is, right? In wine, which I came from, sparkling is Tasmanian sparkling is not champagne, is not Italian prosecco. And if I'm gonna have like a pho, I'll call it pho.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say Australian beef noodle soup. It's just dumb.
Yeah.
You got to call it what it is, and don't dumb it down for your audience. They just need to learn.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said before. It's like instead of giving a list of ingredients, you just have to kind of explain what the experience of consuming it is. Yeah.
Or get them to try it. And what was that thing that you mentioned was Sinilu.
Oh, Simu, yeah, there was a.
Tell me about. I have no idea what that is. I was going to ask her.
There was an episode because I think they're doing Celebrities Dragon's Den overseas.
Like Shark Tank.
Yeah, it's like Shark Tank, but all the investors are celebrities.
In the UK or
I think
the
it's
US?
the US.
That would have been the US, I
Yeah,
think.
'cause he's over there, or maybe US or Canada. But
Canada,
there
I
were
think.
2 Europeans that came on, and their product was boba, like
Right.
the bubble tea.
Bubble tea.
Yeah, they spelled
Groundbreaking.
yeah. So they spelled it differently. They took one B out, and then they
I think they added another. I
did
think.
they? Oh yeah, they added another.
Added
Sorry, there was
another.
BOBBA,
Right.
and then they canned it.
A canned boba.
Yeah. And they said, "Oh, it's ready to consume, and you know what's in it." And then he got really Simu got really upset with him because he said, "Well, no, I know I know what's in bubble tea, right? It's not a secret." And he was upset with the fact that they made no reference to the origin of bubble tea at all. And
That sucks.
Yeah, and they were marketing their product as an improved version of the original recipe.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't like that.
There was differing views about it online. Like a lot of people were
When
saying
did this happen?
it was
Quite
only
recent.
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, so it's still fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll link you the video. You can have a look
link
at.
it to me.
Yeah.
I'm out of the news cycle last couple of weeks.
I didn't know till you told me anyway.
Yeah, because he was like, it was kind of split down the middle. People were like, oh, he's taking it a bit too far because it's good that someone's getting the word about that dish out.
Yep.
Even though it's a really big thing already. But also there were people saying, well, if you get the word out, you need to kind of explain where it came from and give credit where credit's due.
Yes. Yeah. It's classless. It's not a nice touch. It's like they're trying to own it, even if they might have referenced somewhere that they're inspired by. But if they're not openly shouting it, I have a problem with that. Yeah.
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 I think it's similar to...
That's an issue. Like the Japanese, when they make Japanese whiskey, they're like, yeah, we learned from the Scots. This lady came over and married a Japanese guy and then trained us. And yes, it's not like as if they just invented Scotch whiskey in Japan.
Yeah.
And they're quite a proud culture as well. But they swallowed their pride and they acknowledge that they got their transfer of knowledge from another culture. They should just do that.
Yeah.
Like I have an issue with that. Yeah.
I was talking to a friend about it too because I didn't know whether I agreed with the aggression behind it, but then they made a good point. It's fair because what I was saying was, well, a lot of food comes from different cultures and evolves when it arrives in another.
Correct.
But the difference is, I suppose, from taking a product, marketing it, and saying that it's the better version, and that process of evolution is like...
No, you can't say that.
You
better to a white palette.
yeah, but you have to, I mean, like if the difference between that product and an evolution of a dish that comes from another culture is that the evolution, you kind of know where it came from, but then you also know how the cultures interacted to change it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand the why people didn't like that.
Yeah. I mean, so, you know, when I travel, I Vietnamese and Korean, Italian are the kind of like the foods I always search out. And if I get desperate, I'll go to like a Vietnamese restaurant, but there's no Viet person there. Like
It's funny.
it's like,
Isn't
like
that
in
like
Adelaide or something.
Every sushi train in Sydney is like owned by a Korean person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the trend that we see.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing.
No, that's right. A lot of Koreans run the Japanese places around here.
Yeah.
And I remember there was, similar to that story with Bobba, there was an Australian lady that went to New York and opened up an Australian style sushi shop.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
She got cancelled.
What did she do?
she opened up an Australian style sushi shop in New York.
What is Australian style sushi?
So I didn't even know that there was a difference in the way that we do sushi to the Japanese.
you do it in a roll?
Yeah, so if you think about the hand rolls that you can get at a normal sushi hub, right? They're long and they're in a form where you can hold it and eat it.
Yes.
So they don't do that in Japan. It didn't originate from Japan.
It's an Aussie thing.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's an Aussie invention by
rolls and
Sushi
all
Hub.
that.
Because our culture of eating is different. We eat on the go, but if you go to Japan, you have to sit down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And eat it.
That's right. Japanese don't like eating and walking.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
right. So, I mean, that kind of sushi is an Australian adaptation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'll take that. It's kind of like coffee.
Yeah.
Right. Italians, whatever, they made it, but like our coffee's different. Like,
Yeah. So
it's quite bitter.
She took that concept over to New York, and when it landed in New York, a lot of people got the shits with her because they were like, you can't appropriate Japanese culture like that. And she got
tough
rinsed.
one. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm on her side, actually.
I'll read a bit of the article. So this is from news.com.au. An Aussie living in New York City became the target of a merciless online bullying campaign because she was selling sushi. Her crime? She is white. Alex Marks was called a colonizer after she opened a sushi counter in the West Village earlier this month. She posted a TikTok video under the name Sushi Sheila, in which she explained how she quit her job as a corporate lawyer to pursue her small business venture. It sells Australian-style sushi, including teriyaki chicken, spicy tuna, avocado, and cucumber for $5 a roll, or $7.90 AUD, or 3 for $12, $19 AUD. Seemingly innocuous business attracted the ire of Eric Rivera, a chef from North Carolina, who promptly accused Miss Marks of cultural appropriation. But it's Australian sushi. Give me a break, colonizer, Rivera posted. If you don't see why this is a problem, you are the problem. His post was widely shared, and keyboard warriors flooded Google with nasty one-star reviews of Sushi Counter. The online harassment got so intense that Miss Marks wiped her TikTok clean. One of Rivera's followers, called ex-queer Latifa, said, "The contradiction and the cognitive dissonance is maddening. Marks feels she can't afford decent sushi in NYC, a place that is one of the largest and vastly diverse Asian populations. So instead, she finances her own sushi spot. Colonization is white and quite scary to see in real time. The last thing anyone needs are blonde hair Australian white women appropriating Japanese cuisine," one reviewer wrote. That's the main premise of it.
I think one of I recall one of the funny things that came out about it is the chef that criticized her has a Japanese restaurant and he's Portuguese.
Right.
I mean, like those.
Isn't a California roll?
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. So exactly,
but she called it Aussie style.
Yeah.
Like what's wrong?
Yeah,
She's openly saying that it is a sushi, but it's been influenced by Aussie.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on her side a little bit on that one.
Yeah.
It was a bit much, man.
I am too. Because like we understand the evolution of it.
Yeah.
And we understand like it kind of is. Adam Lior, who was on MasterChef, did an article in response to that, and that's what he explained too. The funny thing, I think.
What did he say?
He said,
what was his thing?
He said it's not colonization. It's like it's an evolution of the dish.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, because I think the first place that actually did it was in Cabramatta, the sushi hub down there.
Yep.
Really? In all of Oz?
Yeah. Apparently, according to Adam, that's what I recall reading.
Okay.
Right.
And some of the fillings that they have in there, like cooked tuna and chicken teriyaki, are things you wouldn't find in Japan.
Yeah. It's a Western style thing.
Yeah, provenance is big. So in alcohol world, we have this word called provenance, which is a fancy word for where something comes from, right? So we try not to talk about the drink. We try to talk about where it's from. Right, so with champagne in Epinay, chalky ground, it has beautiful weather coming off the west coast, and then it's got this diurnal range, and there's hot during the day and cool at night, and that influences the terroir. That's provenance. And then same with stuff in the Philippines. Like if I told you that this was distilled on a site, and there's a dormant volcano not far away, and the soil is volcanic, and that's why the coconut is really fresh and raw, and the ube is from the island of Bohol, which is the most sacred out of all of the different ubes, because in Philippines there's ubes like grapes, there's different kinds.
Yep.
And it's made from noble cane, which is the sweetest cane that we have there. You'll like it more. But we have in drink world, it's always like you have to say where it comes from, right? Because there's this kind of like convention that everyone learns off everyone else, and it evolves. So to see it in food in that way, where it's kind of weird, the boba thing where they're trying to make it their own, but then this Aussie girl saying Aussie style sushi, I don't have a problem with that, but it sounds like people still have a problem with it.
It's like
it's a tough one.
It's like YouTube.
Yeah.
You give a shout out at the bottom. Give credit in the bottom in the description and where the song was from.
I suppose, but it's important to know, like you say, the provenance, because if you understand, like with the sushi thing, we understand where it came from, but I don't think the Americans did.
Yeah.
Right. And with the boba thing, we understand where it comes from, but obviously the people that made it didn't understand that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a big thing.
And most of America probably wouldn't know what boba is.
Unless you're in California, I
Was
guess.
he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
we don't
Middle
call
America.
that here.
Yeah, Middle America wouldn't.
But that's their terminology. We call it. We don't call it.
I
Boba.
mean,
It's just milk tea.
it's starting to get picked up here, boba. The term boba. You know,
What do you
should
guys
say-
call boba?
bubble tea,
Bubble tea.
bubble
yeah,
tea.
I just call it bubble tea.
I'd say milk tea.
That's the
in
one
general.
with
the pearls.
the pearls.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we
yeah.
call the pearls sago.
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 Yeah,
Sago, yeah.
That's where it comes from. Okay.
Is that what you guys call it or no?
No, I've just seen it on like menus. SAGO.
SAGO.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sago. Yeah.
Speaking of milk tea and alcohol, you should. Are you getting that for your wedding?
No. A milk tea cart.
Sort you out.
because
Yes.
I did come across a business recently that they do have milk tea, but they don't combine the alcohol because they need a license for it. So they just say, just bring your own alcohol. We'll make you the milk tea. You can mix it yourself. We're not touching it.
World of licensing. Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, this could be a good idea for yours.
So I'm a licensee.
Yeah.
Which means that if I fuck up, I go to jail.
Yep.
Or lose my business or get a big fine. Right. So as far as I remember, if you have a wedding, it's a private event.
Yep.
So you can pretty much do whatever. Where it gets confusing is if it's in a public space or a hired space.
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
But
it
if
would
it's
be
in a
hard
private
space.
home, the government cannot interfere with your private affairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I haven't done an alcohol order yet, so I should work.
We'll go through you.
I need to talk to you about that.
We'll be in touch. But yeah, that was the idea. They're like, oh yeah, when they get hired for like weddings and stuff, they just you bring your own alcohol.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there.
I've seen the bubble tea carts like being a bigger thing lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see it adding to your wedding though?
I think it like if I had it on a table, I feel like it would detract from it. I reckon if you could order it,
Yeah.
like from the bar,
From the bar
that would be good.
with Vienna music in the background.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uncle with the apron.
It's an
yeah.
amalgamation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you balance importing Filipino beverages to Australia and then exporting Australian wines to the Philippines?
Look, in the beginning, it was meant to be 50-50. But right now, we're focusing more on the import side because there's a lot of demand for it. And look, yesterday I met a couple of girls who are Asian, Aussie, Chinese background. They want to bring some stuff in from Asia. And, they reached out through a friend. I'm like, yeah, do it. But I told them all of the things that could go wrong as much as I could in that couple of hours. And then I asked them at the end, do you still want to do this? And they both said simultaneously, yes. I think you have to be a little bit crazy to get off the couch and be a couch entrepreneur and to actually back it. But there's demand for it in Australia. So I hope there's like Thai guys, there's Vietnamese guys, there's Malaysian. They can't really drink unless they're chindo. Come out and just start bringing some interesting drink. Because I'm not saying that Filipino drink is the best, even though I think it is good. I wanna taste them all.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's some good stuff out of Southeast Asia that we haven't even seen, and I'd love for there to be more of that coming out. So, your question is balancing import export. Like, yeah, look, I love wine, and it's a long game in the Philippines, but like right now, there's just so much interest and appetite for Asian drink, just like it has been in food for MasterChef. It's sort of spilling over. People forget like cuisine or gastronomy is food and beverage, right? And so now it's sort of the beverage side. So Diageo came out this year with the 5. So Diageo is the biggest alcohol company in the world. So they own Smirnoff, Captain Morgan, Ciroc. What's George Clooney's one he sold to them? Casamigos.
Casamigo, yeah.
So they're the biggest, and they said these are going to be the 5 trends in the next few years. And they said umami,
Nice.
Guess what Asian drinks are? Umami, spicy, right? Which a Bandung one is the pandan. Treating, which is a fancy word for layered. And I forget what the two others were, but they're all Asian drinks. The profile is Asian, or even South American. Like I wish there was more cachaça coming out of South America, which is like a rum-based drink. So yeah, I mean, if you guys know someone in Vietnam distilling, like,
Let me
know. Bring it over here.
Maybe someone who's listening, let us know.
I
Send an
can't
email.
speak Vietnamese. I haven't been to Vietnam. But it would be good to get some awesome craft drink from Vietnam here, and for Aussies to experience that craftsmanship.
Yeah,
because we do have it.
Yeah,
I will ask around.
Yeah,
but that's the cool thing about like this kind of work. I mean, you get to share aspects of your culture in other parts of the world with us, and like it all adds to the culture that we have here.
Yeah,
yeah.
Just
totally.
a big combination of every other culture combined.
Our so the Philippine history of distilling is more closely related to the old word is Formosa, which is modern day Taiwan. So our distilling is closely related to the Taiwanese. So our lambanog, which is also related to Mexico's tequila, is actually related to China's baijiu.
Oh, yeah. Familiar with that.
So the link is there. Like is bananas how like that transfer of knowledge goes. So baijiu is earthen.
Yeah.
If you're Italian, you call it amphora. Sounds fancy. Clay pot.
Yeah.
Or like in Georgia, they ferment barrel wine in amphora or clay pot. Chinese have been doing it for centuries. Called baijiu. You get that nice pineapple-y, smoky, earthen kind of flavor. That's why the Taiwanese have a really good whiskey culture, because they drink a lot of spirit.
Yeah.
The same with the Filipinos, but we do the same thing, but we just distill coconut flour.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and we call that lambanog. But when Philippines and Mexico were connected for a few hundred years, we gave them bananas, they gave us chocos, a few other things. The Filipinos hopped off the boat and taught them how to distill. Now, we're not claiming credit for tequila. It's very much Mexican. And like you said, once it goes to another place, it evolves.
Yeah.
But there's no coconut there. So then they started distilling agave.
Yeah.
And if you go to Mexico on the West Coast, if they find out you're Filipino, they're like, oh, let me show you my Filipino still. Because the design is exactly the same as you'd find in Philippines, exactly the same that you'd find in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
It's cool, right?
I like seeing all the transfer of knowledge.
We wouldn't have been able to make tequila.
No.
We don't have agave.
Yeah. It's funny, like I heard once that tomatoes aren't native to Italy either.
Oh, they're not?
No.
Where are they native to?
I think they're a South American, or they come from some other part of the world.
Nuts.
Yeah, they arrived in Italy, and then
But they
the
just
Italians ran with
adopted it.
Yeah.
It's just like they adopted pasta.
Yeah.
From the Chinese. Noodles.
There's a great YouTube channel called OTR.
What does that mean?
On the road.
On the road,
So
yeah.
it's just it's this white guy that's lived in Asia, cooked in Asia for a really long time, and he
Okay.
goes and he does like pieces on the history of like the 3 Thai curries or history of noodles and stuff like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we took a quick break to reheat some food, and we do have some Thit
Thank
Heo
you.
Quay, or this one would be crispy pork, and we're pairing it with the honey ale. So what's the right way to methodology of pairing?
Well, firstly, with beer, we shouldn't put ice.
Yeah.
But
It wasn't cold.
it wasn't cold. You kind of, when you have it, it's quite cold, right? So you kind of want to keep it in your mouth for a while, the beer, let it warm up, and then you can release the flavors. But when you're eating, a crappy example, when you eat like this. I'm eating, I put it in my mouth,
True.
I swallow it,
Yeah.
and then most people, then they drink, right?
Yeah.
Like this. With pairing, what you want to do is you actually want to put it in your mouth, chew it, keep a little bit there, and then wash the bee over it. All the wine. It'll be different.
Keep a little bit of it.
Keep a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll try that.
Especially with the skin. So it's half chewed, and then have the drink with it. It'll taste better. It'll bring out the saltiness out of the skin.
Yeah, I was like,
Well, how was it for you guys?
Yeah,
it just got enhanced somehow.
yeah.
What is this magic?
Yeah. So most of the time that magic happens in your tummy, but enjoy it. Have it in your mouth. And you can do that in the reverse. So some people, they like to drink, keep a little bit of liquid in their mouth, and then put the food in. So we can try that.
I'll grab another piece. Okay. So drink. So we'll try the other one, which is drink first. Keep a bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I prefer it the first way, but it just depends on the food, dish, yourself. You get more of the oiliness in this way.
I do prefer the first one.
I think
It makes more sense.
yeah, I prefer the ease of the first one. But the second time, actually,
You can taste more?
I tasted more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can taste more of the oil and the fat.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this is. I think it comes down to like milk and then cereal. A little cereal and milk.
So, yes.
This is what it is. What we're doing right now.
You can easily try both. It's good.
It's good.
Okay, you know, when you describe it that way, it's like eating with a sauce.
Yes. Yeah, you're adding it to taste. Yeah. I think that's like inherent in Asian culture. Like we'll eat the food and then we'll drink
Yep.
before or after. So, do it at the same time. Yeah. Enjoy it. Yeah.
So on the beers itself, they do have a flavor complexity scale, which I haven't seen before. I'll pull one up. If we have a look, we've got so there's flavor complexity. There's easy, intriguing, and complex. This is on the drinks from Engkanto. So what do these mean exactly?
So the brewer MJ is actually American. He's from the Pacific Northwest. He's a very well-renowned brewer, married to a Filipina. He's only been with Engkanto for a couple of years, but before then he was in Asia,
Yep.
most of it in China for Boxer Brewing. So he kind of gets both worlds. And, you know, I love Italian food. It's probably second behind Spanish food for my favorite Mediterranean or continental food, but its glory is its simplicity. 2 or 3 ingredients. That's not Asian palate or Asian food or Asian profile. So ours is complex because of the umami, the depth of flavor. And he's putting intriguing as sort of like a halfway. He's trying to explore that with his beers as well. So he was already making award-winning beers, and actually his straight up Live It Up lager is pretty good. But he's adding, he talks about this 4th dimension, which is that Asian ingredient, whether it's ube or honey from Baguio province or mangoes from the island of Guimaras. And it's really interesting. So that's what he means there. He thinks of flavor as a circle.
Yep.
And I like to think of it as a diamond. But I like the way that he's trying to introduce or evolve beer into incorporating Asian genuine flavors, you know, so not powder, like actual real ube,
Yeah.
not distillate mango, like actually brewing from mango kind of thing. And you can really taste the difference, right? And so the mango hazy, which I think we tried first, in Australia, we get an Indian sub variety. So right now you'd be getting mangoes from Northern Territory and they're very expensive. And then in a few weeks time, you'll get the ones from Queensland. I'm pretty sure the fruit nerd would
time we would be listening. Yeah, maybe.
you'd know. But mangoes in Asia or in the Philippines, like they're dime a dozen. Like there's so many varieties.
Yeah.
And he's picked the most complex one, which is from the island of Guimaras, and we call them Carabao mangoes, which in English is like, for us, it's my mum always calls them the champagne.
Yep.
Now, in the crafty beer circles in Australia, they love this one for the beer nerds. But if you gave it to just a normal beer drinker, you wouldn't get it because it's too complex. And so when he's talking complex, it's really for, the guys that have drunk whiskey forever and they know everything. They're looking for that something different. The mango hazy would make sense to them.
Oh.
But to a newbie, it wouldn't. Like, oh, this isn't mango. It's not sweet. Well, it is sweet, but there's layers of sweetness and there's all of these other textures and taste, tactile profiles that you're getting from it. So that's what he means in terms of that.
Yeah.
It's that easy, intriguing, and complex. So I think for the Ube Lager, he calls that intriguing.
So that's what I was going to ask, because to me, that's complex. Yeah. Okay.
Well, there's 4 of them that you have on your website. So we, in terms of you have that multi-pack.
Yes.
So we have it's just the standard lager.
Lager.
Lager,
yeah.
I'm going to get destroyed
So
for
it's
this.
a lager, but it's also a pilsner.
Mm-hmm.
I always get it wrong how to explain it, which is like the difference between bourbon and whiskey. You know the difference between bourbon and whiskey?
Bourbon has to be made. Oh, no, sorry. I'm thinking of Tennessee. Tennessee something else.
Tennessee's whiskey.
Kentucky bourbon has to, Kentucky bourbon has to be made in Kentucky.
And has to be charcoal filtered. And then bourbon has to have a mash bill.
A what?
Yeah. A mash bill. Corn, like maize.
Okay, yeah.
Or the makeup of what they distill from. So that Live It Up lager is also a pilsner. So San Miguel is a pilsner. What's the beer be?
The Viet
Was it
beer.
555? No.
Is it Saigon beer or something? Tiger?
No, Tiger's Thai.
I thought it was Malaysian.
Is it? Oh, I thought it was Thai.
But I know there's a beer that's just called Saigon beer.
I don't know. I remember whenever I went
I
over
thought it was
there.
555. Or maybe that's the Siggies.
I don't know what the national beer is.
I remember when I went to Vietnam, I just remember everyone drinking VB, Crown, or Tiger or Singha.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's definitely a
The
Saigon
Asian beers tend to be a lighter style.
beer. Yeah.
So the Engkanto is more accurately a pilsner, which is also a lager.
Yeah. So you got the honey one and the ube one. And what's the other one? The 4th one I'm missing.
And the mango hazy
The mango haze.
IPA. Yeah, they're all pretty heavy. I think the lightest one is the Live It Up lager, which is 4.8. And then the mango hazy is up to 5.7.
Yeah.
That's why I like IPAs. They
More for your money.
well, apart from that, but they it's a more alcoholic version of a pale ale, and I like pale ales because they're kind of fruity and sweet.
Yes.
But I like that the hit of bitterness that the extra alcohol content gives it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, out of those 4, which one's your favorite?
Favorite? The Ube Lager.
Yeah.
I really
It's a good
like
food
that.
pair.
After we had that little glass thing, just blew my mind. How
If
that
it's a
worked.
hot day like it was last weekend, I'd probably smash the honey ale. Like it's really sessionable. It doesn't even feel like it's like 5.2%. It's dangerous in that way. But yeah, the Ube Lager, it's not just because of the color, but like with food, it just sings. Yeah. It kind of reminds me of this wine grape called you guys know Hunter Valley, right?
Yep.
Yeah. You know Semillon or Semillon?
Yeah.
Semillon is only famous in Hunter Valley and a part of France because it's a really hard grape to understand. It's kind of like cognac. you have it young, it's kind of like a Pinot Gris. So that's not for everyone, too acidic. But when you age it, it sings, particularly with Asian food, particularly with fish. Like it's almost like whiskey. If you can get a 10-year-old, 20-year-old, with the Ube Lager, like that's how I think of it. Like it's not just good as a beer, but it's great as a beer with food. And I want to find what that other match is.
Yeah.
So we're looking.
Yeah, so we're looking.
Okay.
So the matches that I'm giving you is just the ones that we know, that we've explored, but I'm pretty sure there's some out there.
Yeah. Well, if we,
So it's like a journey, right?
yeah, we just need to get into some restaurants so we can all test them out, you know?
Well, I could organize a tasting if you go find
We'll just order the
a
food.
restaurant-friendly venue.
Yeah. It's all that licensing cost, isn't it?
This is yum. Where was this one from?
It's from the
From what?
pork's from Iron Chef. They only
the center,
recently opened like a
the butcher.
butcher
Yeah.
section. So I was like, oh, okay.
That's
do that.
convenient.
Yeah.
Not that far away.
Yeah. There is a rise of Asian flavors now. You got your pandan, ube, and durian starting. I think durian was more of the mainstream one that more people knew about. What inspired you to focus more into ube predominantly?
Does it seem that way?
That's what I think. When you got this is your main drink, the liqueur,
Yeah.
and it's also
it's grown into that.
into the beer.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't see like I don't know if this even works, like a pandan beer or something.
I'd love to bring it in.
Yeah. What made you focus on ube first then?
I understood it. I can, with my background in wine training and also spirits training in London, I can explain it to Caucasians or to Anglos. So like ube is the way that I describe it to them. Like firstly, like if I'm gonna down some serious cash on a container, I don't want to drink all of it.
Yeah.
you gotta have a market.
Yeah.
And the Philo community is only going to get me that far.
Yeah.
So it's just like, can I sell this to my white brothers and sisters? And I go, I reckon I can. And so with that in mind, it's like, okay, how am I going to get them to drink it? And I brought a couple of the drinks here. So we've got Gordon's Gin and Jim Beam, right? All of the fancy cocktails that I shared with you, no one's going to do that at home.
Yeah.
But I just tell them, look, this is good. It's made from sugarcane, so it's like a rum. So you can mix it in with brandy. Actually, that's what I do. Brandy with ube,
Oh, really?
half and half. Then put coconut milk on the rim like a Macca's sundae. Yum. And that's easy for an Aussie to execute. One of the guys that when we were in Kingsgrove, he's like, Aussie guy, he's like, hey, Siggy, I made a Jaffa. I go, how did you do that? I think he put in some Chambord. Right. And that gets me excited when they're starting to experiment with it. But the way that I describe ube to Aussie guys or to the Aussie market is it's like a really earthy, subtle vanilla that has a Moorish flavor, but it's also got this very earthy, grainy texture.
Yep.
Which is quite nice. Like actually there was a Canberra politician last year who goes, it's like my nan's shortbread vanilla cake. And I was like, yes, that makes sense for Aussies because that's what they had in their food library. So I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
I've had shortbread vanilla cake, not his grandma's. And to me, I can kind of see it, but because my food memory is saying other things, but if that's his anchor, I'll use that.
Yep.
And that's why it's grown into this thing. So at the moment, ube is only from the Philippines. There is cousins of ube known as different names. I think the Japanese have one. I think the Taiwanese have one. Sure, they should make and distill their own and own it as well. But I'm just talking about Philippine ube. There's a lot of interest in it at the moment. And so just got to realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know how to speak the language, so you can translate it to
translate
everyone
it
else.
to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been around enough French wankers to to handle myself around. You know, like it's like waves dancing on my tongue. You know, the Dom Perignon chef de cave is talking about how the experience of the plenitude of Dom Perignon that he's having So I can speak technical, but I can also speak just straight up. It's like, hey, this is good. Just drink it.
I'm so excited.
So does it mix well with Gordon's or Jim Beam?
It does, yeah. And this is the weird thing. So when we're talking, you want to mix it?
All right. We'll take a second to grab one. I think I'm nearly out. You know, I'm gonna buy the other bottle you brought in. Yeah, I'm nearly out.
You're nearly out. Yeah. So because the base of the ube is from sugarcane, so the sugarcane is fractured. So they release the juice, then that's distilled, and then it's not fermented, because if it was, then it would be a rum. So technically it's like a cachaça, like a sugarcane vodka or a rum with a H. And then they add coconut from Bohol, from the Mindanao, and then ube from Bohol. And that gives it that grainy texture. So if you mix it in with a whiskey, it's not great, because the whiskey is a very clean spirit. You need to go with something which is a little bit more grittier, like a bourbon or a smoky tequila. But fascinatingly, it works with gin. So give it a try.
I can see that. But pass us the bourbon first, I think.
Did I buy the wrong one? I saw on the website. Wait, hold on. Huh? The recipe was like dark rum, and I had no idea which one.
Yeah, dark rum is Bundaberg. So when you say rum in the world, people say Bacardi. Most of the world think of rum as white. We think of rum as dark.
Yeah.
Apart from the Caribbeans,
Yeah.
we're the only ones that think of rum as dark.
So is the one I have correct on the table there?
I think so. That's a Caribbean rum.
Is that a plantation
I think so.
with banana? Oh, that would work perfect. Okay, so just using the continental example, if you're in Vietnam and you're having Vietnamese food,
plantation.
it is plantation, right? So this is right. That would work. You know why? Because it's got a banana profile.
Yeah.
And bananas, there's a lot of them in Philippines. So you think of the wine example. If you're in a place where you're eating the food, get the local drink, it will match. So if you're eating or drinking a Thai food and you get a local Thai drink, it will match because it comes from the same terroir.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I've never moved around so much in a recording ever.
Because should have had a table.
Running, yeah, I know. I should.
Do you want the rum or do you want the gin? We can switch.
I've tried it a bit with the rum already.
You can do 3 if you wanted to go heavy. Yeah,
3.
I have to drive back.
I've got to drive. So
how much do I put in?
Up to you.
Yeah.
I'd be generous, but maybe go a 2 or 3 count. Yep, and then see how that works. So
that itself is so nice.
On its own, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's actually nice.
My missus, she chucks in vanilla bean ice cream.
Oh,
that's a good idea. Macca's Sundae.
That's like an avocado.
Yeah,
yeah, that'd be really nice.
So she froze it on. She froze on the ube like an ice magic. All that would be missing is just a bit of mango juice. But hey, look, I'm biased because I like to taste my alcohol. So
me too.
I like the hits. So some ladies might not like that.
The rum.
Yeah, the rum.
It'd be good with like oh no, you wouldn't do a Malibu because it's already got the coconut in it.
You could.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, there is one.
Mix with Malibu.
Malibu, yeah. Malibu works.
But I can definitely see it as an espresso martini, and that's the first thing I'd want to do with it.
Yeah. All the Japanese guys do it. The guys, the guys that do Yao Wong, he's the licensee or the owner of the Whiskey Bar of the Year. This year, one couple months ago, in Melbourne, in the Elysian Whiskey Bar in Fitzroy. He is obsessed with exploring ube with coffee. Now, he doesn't sell the Ube Cream Liqueur in his bar. He just has it for himself and for his special guests because he thinks it's really interesting.
It is.
But he's a whiskey guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like it. I wish more places had it.
Yeah, me too.
Like, because ever since you brought it up in your email, I looked at the website and I was like, I've never seen anything like this before. So I had to buy it. And wow, just changed my life. Just trying this thing.
What did you have it with, Tung?
I just had it with the Jim Beam bourbon.
The bourbon?
Yeah.
Yeah, does it work for
Oh,
you?
here, you want to try this one?
Swap, yeah. Yeah, it still works. Love it. This one's definitely more stronger.
Yeah, well, I went for a 3.
Yeah. I like this. I like mine better.
Let me try it. Is it the strong one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe too much, eh?
I can see why you would like it. You're a heavier drinker, but for me, I think I went a bit light on the bourbon as well.
Yum. I'd add Chambord
Yeah.
or a maraschino kind of
Liqueur. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Monin flavor on top,
That's really good.
just to take the edge off.
So you're gonna buy a bottle?
Yeah.
You may as well get it now.
Might buy multiple.
Let's do a bulk
For your
order.
wedding.
Yeah,
We'll just do a bulk order. All right. All right. Enough glazing over this drink. We got to move on. Yeah. So when you launch the business, obviously you do need to rely a lot on the community, in not just the Filipino community, but also the Australian community. How big of a role did they play when you were launching this product to try and get the word out?
With both communities?
Yeah, just in general.
Yeah.
Like how did both of them react to, and how did they spread the word? And
Yeah, I mean, similar to what, look, the Vietnamese carry cognac in Australia. If you guys weren't buying it, Hennessy wouldn't be sold here.
Yeah.
And so unashamedly targeting or talking to the Filipino Aussie community, I think like this, the 5th biggest group in Australia, but they're obviously really proud, and that's pretty cool. But also within the bartender community, who always want something new and different. And we've got a session coming up for Pandan, the Bandung 22 in Melbourne, where so it was November 25, we've got 50 bartenders, 50 of Melbourne's top bartenders just coming, just offer an invite to say, hey, come along. We're going to have a mini cocktail comp. None of this Diageo shit where it's how many months and you got to buy stuff. No, just come on your off day.
yeah.
Make stuff, take a photo. We'll judge it between us who wins. And they're just up for it because it's new and it's interesting. And Ube's there. We feel like Pandan's the next one. I think Durian's got a way to go.
Yeah.
Because the big part of drink is smell. Whereas the big part of Durian's appeal is taste.
Yeah.
But there's a few others. I feel like there's like a lot of like yuzu's having its heyday, but there's a few more Asian flavors out there that I think should be distilled. Now, if I had $500,000, yeah, sure, I'll open up a distillery, but then it doesn't even have any people. So we need other people in the community to come and distill or brew their own stuff or bring it in.
Yeah.
So it's important to, I have some people in my community, within the food community, who'd say, oh, I don't want to sell to my community. They're too hard, or they're judgmental, or they're this, or they say that. I can make it at home, the usual stuff. Just get past that and use the guys within the community to support you. But also just like you have to find the bridge, because if I just sell to the Filipinos or the Asians, it'll be an echo chamber. Yeah, it'll be good, but then we'll just reach a cap. And so you really have to go mainstream and try and get more Aussies to try your stuff.
Yeah.
Whether that's through having a festival in town hall like Sydney Ube Festival, or trying to talk to them in their language. Yeah, yes, you're right. It tastes like your nan's shortbread vanilla cake. I get that, even though it's not my strong thing, but I get it from his context. Yeah.
It's like that ratatouille scene.
What did Ratatouille say?
No, the ratatouille scene at the end where he eats the ratatouille and he remembers when he was young. That's why he likes it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No.
I mean, like that's what the
He
whole
eats
movie's
him?
about. Huh?
He eats him?
No, it was Ratatouille the dish.
Oh.
Yeah. So he eats Ratatouille, and then he remembers like his mum used to make it for him, and then he gives the restaurant a good review. So the whole plot is basically the Ratatouille rat works in a restaurant, and then a really harsh critic is going to come, and then he's trying to impress him.
Right.
What advice would you give to others that are trying to bridge cultural gaps in the food and beverage industry?
That's a big, meaty one. Hey, I'll reference those two girls that I met this week, actually yesterday. You got to be nuts. You just have to give it a go. Like after sort of trying to outline to them, here's some of the gaps that I see, here's some of the risks, as well as trying to encourage them. You know, I asked them both, so you still want to do this? And they both said yes. Okay, cool. That's the kind of crazy that you need, because you got to love it. Like, you know, alcohol is sexy, drinks is sexy, but people don't see actually how they underestimate how hard it is, or maybe how someone in property law or someone in finance would probably earn triple. But it won't feel like work if it really is your passion and what you want to do. So I think the advice would be, go for it. Reach out. It's not like as if I see people in the community as competition. No, it's actually we'll help each other. Yeah. You know, kind of thing. And so reach out and just go for it. Yeah. You got to be crazy.
Yeah. It's a good time to take a risk while you're young, I guess.
I think any time's a good time to take a risk, really. I'm a gambling man.
I guess it's scary because Siggy, you do have a kid, so
I do, yeah.
Does that limit your kind of risk-taking
a little
range?
So, you know, I shared with you I went to the UK during the GFC. I didn't share with you that I sold 2 of my investment properties to fund my worldwide holiday. And, you know, came back and invested into property again, and then exited that to enter this business. But yeah, your mindset does change when you become a dad. So when that did happen, I feel like I was acting unnaturally, like I wasn't taking the same risks, which is quite unusual. So I've found that again, if that makes sense. Yeah, because having for me, being a dad, like the drive is different, the ambition is different, like the complexity of it is different, just like food. So I think I just had to double back or round back to, you got to trust your gut, because even if you're wrong, your gut will get better next time.
Yeah.
That's true.
It will tell you, well, I've seen this picture before. Don't do it, buddy. Or do it.
I see it all the time at work.
And what other advice would you give to people that are trying to expand their audience, but also staying true to the cultural heritage?
Well, look, that's a tough one. 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I was not in front of the camera. I don't like it. It's not great.
And now you have 2 in front of you.
Now I've got 2 in front of me and I'm talking to you guys. But you have to, the advice I'd give is you have to put yourself out there. The business won't grow if you just remain a business, a company, or a brand. Because as much as we like to think that always going to wear Nike or something, people don't like brands.
Yeah.
They like the idea of what they represent, and they love people more. And they like stories more. So you have to be the company or your brand. And if you put that out there, then people will follow. So once I crossed that bridge, it became easier. And just to reach out, like I have this thing that I like to say is like, hey, I don't know, therefore I ask. So what is that? You know, I don't know what that is. So like, tell me whether it's like, oh, like that's trade finance. Cool. What does that mean? You know, I don't know what it is. Don't fake it. Just ask, because they'll know. It's like so these 2 girls are very humble, came from outside of the industry, and they just go, we don't know, but we want to. Cool. Because even if you didn't tell me, you can smell someone that's outside of your industry like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So they can't even fake it.
Yeah.
You can tell someone that is pretending to be from your background. You'd be like, nah, this guy's.
Yeah.
Well, why is he even lying?
Yeah.
Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to the people around you. Just ask for help. just say, I don't know. Yeah. That's probably the way to do it.
Good points. All right, we'll finish up for this episode. So, Siggy, where can we find your business and yourself?
And your
all
products. Where can we buy them?
Products.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you don't find me.
not his house.
Or stay hidden. I do have a personal Instagram, but I really struggle to answer it. But it's linked to my business Instagram, which is 7,000 Islands. So that's the number 70000 Islands. That's with an S, ISLANDS on Instagram, or the same 7000islands.co in our online store. But just go to danmurphys.com.au or Costco if you want cheap. You can find Ube Cream Liqueur
Nice.
or Engkanto Brewery or the Bandung nationally in Australia. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great. All right, we'll sign off for this episode then. Thanks, Siggy, for joining us. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Oh, I forgot to mention, is it okay if I give your listeners a promo code?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Rice
Okay.
and Mike's.
Rewind. Hold on.
So it's is it RICEN MICS? Yeah.
Is that the promo code?
Yeah, promo code. So we just use that one.
Let's change it up. We'll do something cool.
Okay.
We'll do.
Sorry, I forgot. Yeah.
Well, I did the same with Lydia with I Blush. So we'll do. Can we do Been to Japan? BTW.
Been to Japan?
Yeah. By
Cool.
the way.
Yeah.
BTW.
So BTW Japan.
No, Been to Japan. BTW. By the way.
BEEN to TO Japan BTW.
Sure. It's very long.
We'll put it in the description. All right. Cool. What does that give them?
I don't know. Figure it out. What should we give? Like free shipping or
What works for you, man? We can't do 90%. That'll make you go out of business.
buy one of something, get the next one 50% off.
I'm going to buy immediately.
Something like that.
Something like that.
I'll work it out. I'll put in the description
Work
what
it
it
out,
is
yeah.
specifically. But that's the code if you want to use it.
Thanks for having me on.
No, thanks for
Great
coming.
to have you.
Thanks for bringing the drinks
Then
and
too.
sharing and educating.
We'll catch you guys on the next episode. We'll see you then. Bye bye.
Thank you.